I'm Michael Reese.
And I'm Woods Davis.
And this is the Digital President Podcast.
We've cracked the code for generating customers online for every business model.
In fact, we wrote the book on it.
We've built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses in as little as 90 days. And the one truth that we discovered is
the best business model is doing what you love and living your life by strategy.
You truly can follow your passion and create the life of your dreams,
as long as you have the right strategy.
If you're a real estate agent and you'd like to learn how you can partner with us to help you implement our strategies and systems in your business so you can make a lot more money and have a lot more time freedom, all without ever paying us a penny or giving up a percentage of your commission, go to partnershipdetails.com and schedule a call with us today. While it's fresh in your mind, go to partnershipdetails.com. Now on to the podcast.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Digital President Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the best lead source for your real estate business. I'm your host, Michael Reese, co-host, Mr. Woods Davis. How are you there?
Good to see you, man. Ready to rock, bro. Ready to rock.
Man, I love your studio, man. I'm so excited that you've gotten that built. And I think you built it in two different places. So
I'm out on the west. This is the west side studio. I got the west side studio, got the east side, but we keeping it consistent here.
I like it. I feel like you should drop a rap now. The west side. No, so today we're going to be talking about the best lead source. And guys, listen, this is a great episode because I hope we're going to shift your mindset. A lot of you guys are out there and in your real estate businesses, you're leveraging platforms. We're just going to talk about some of the challenges and problems and why you're not able to take advantage of the best lead source. So I'll let the cat out of the bag. The best lead source, and I'm going to tell you why during today's episode, is going to be paid traffic. When you're running paid traffic, I want you to realize your goal in being in a business is to be able to scale your advertising. See, when you're in real estate, real estate teams usually dominate marketing. It's because they have an unfair advantage. They have ability to get a disproportionate share of leads because they have a budget probably would choke an elephant. And I've been one of those agents where, I'm spending $82,000 a month to run my business, and you can take my entire office combined, and they're out there bragging about how they have no marketing budget. They get everything for referrals. Sounds good, but you're not going to be able to scale. You can't go into other markets. You can't grow the business. And part of being on a team is being able to go then bring and attract talent who doesn't have the ability or doesn't have the skills to generate deals on their own, or maybe they don't have the desire. So you start to get leveraged income from other agents when you provide them with the service, and the service you're providing them with is with quality lead generation. And your ability to scale that through platforms or buying leads is extremely expensive. Let's just put it like this. A lot of people who manage ads for other people charge a 20% management fee, which is fine. But there are people out there that charge nothing, because you have to understand, what is the goal of the company that you're hiring? What is your goal? Are you looking to generate 10 leads, 100 leads, 1,000 leads, 500 leads? We're going to decode this for you. We're going to talk about it. This is in our wheelhouse. Woods, you've managed multiple six figures in ad budgets. I've been there when we've had the keynote of a huge digital agency that manages ads literally for top companies in North America. Get off stage, look for you, and end up getting on a plane and flying to our office just to learn how we were managing our national campaign. So I know we can really shine a light on some of the problems, give you awareness so that you can really look in over the next couple of years, next couple of months, of some ways that you can maybe reallocate your budget and get everything you want out of everything you got, like Mr. Old J. Abraham says.
Well, I think this is one of the biggest, most important things to consider here is that not only when you get into paid advertising, you're building assets. A lot of what we do right now is we build these digital assets that serve us and that can scale beyond what we can do as individuals. So, for example, we might create campaigns, we might leverage videos that can be watched by thousands or even millions of people, and those things can continue to serve you over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so that's the biggest difference here, I think, when you're looking at paid advertising and looking at scaling out any type of business. You got to have something, that you can invest in that's not going to require your time. The goal is to be able to invest money, and be able to get a return on that investment.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenge I see people, man, like a lot of lead generation things, they think they're doing lead generation because they're hiring a company or they're paying for leads like realtor.com or Zillow or something like that. And then it's like, well, hey, even if it's working out good for you and you're getting a decent ROI on that lead source, sometimes people have the challenge they can't scale. I had a partner, we were talking about his business. There was no more zip codes available because their business model was they sell out zip codes and they have a finite number of leads that they can distribute. And so what we did was we were like, hey, if this company can generate leads, why don't we just generate our own leads? Why don't we open up our own funnel? And that's what we did. And we turned on paid advertising for our own funnel and actually outperformed that campaign 10x.
What that means, Woods, is that the constraint in the budget, because in every goal, the book, the goal, you're looking for the constraint, right? And so the constraint in what you're demonstrating for the audience is the constraint was availability to zip codes. And so therefore you get stuck with what you get. That's the first con in those sources. Let's talk about a pro. A pro is going to be, is the opposite. I can actually target a zip code. Not only can I target a zip code, I can target behaviors based upon people's engagement. So if somebody comes to my website, I can create custom audiences based upon expired listings for sell by owners, people who own lease properties. I can target based upon price ranges, based upon a geographic area. When you have paid traffic, which the reason why, again, the point of this podcast is, what is the number one lead source? Well, when you're looking at all lead sources and there's a check in the box, you don't have control. When you don't have control, first of all, it's more expensive because 9 out of 10 times, the way that they're going to get your ad costs down is they're going to do it by any means necessary. Let's put it that way. And what usually sacrifices is a high lead cost does not translate into a bad thing. I'd rather have someone who went to Google and put sell my home for cash, and I would rather pay 5 times more for that lead, knowing that 7 out of those 10 leads, not only do I get a hold of, they're open to a conversation, they're willing to meet with me, and that even if they don't choose me, their house is going to be on the market within 90 days. That means that was a qualified opportunity versus going on, 10 appointments, going on 6 of them, and 2 of them only list their house that year because the other ones were looky-loos and the ads that were targeted based upon whatever the metric. And so you got to remember, the best lead source is going to be paid traffic. Now, when you get into paid traffic, you can pay a lot of different people. You can pay YouTube, which is one source. You can pay Facebook. You can pay Instagram, or you can pay what I like most, and it's in the middle of the road, but I like it for the cash conversion cycle. You can pay Google. But the point that I think that you need to understand is in your business right now, your number one goal should be, what skill do I need to acquire in order to get to my goals? Why am I not achieving my goals? What is the thing? Because here's what they say. Jim Rohn says, if you don't have everything you want, you haven't learned something. In the book, The Goal, which is the number one book, mandatory reading in most MBA courses, the goal is identifying where you're going, where you're at, and what is the constraint. The constraint for some people is budget. Well, if the budget is the constraint, if you have somebody who's tapping into your budget by 20% for a management fee, and there is a company that provides the same service that doesn't these are questions you have to ask when you're interviewing these companies. Or you can go with, we just do it all for you, and guess what? You got to be able to do this, that, and the other, and we're gonna set the rules of the game. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to call the leads, you have to compete, we're gonna get a referral fee, all of these things. So listen, they're business models. They surely work. This podcast isn't about what works and what doesn't. This podcast is about what is the number one resource for lead generation in your business and why, and you should be in constant pursuit. No different than if you had an oil well and it was on your 500 acres and you hired a geologist and they said, listen, right now, based upon how we've gotten to this oil, if we drill up there, we actually can increase our barrel production per day by 10 times, which will pay back for the drilling within 4 months. And here's what the profitability be. See, in your business, lead generation needs to look at like oil wells. And every oil well is producing for the business. Now, the first rule is you don't try to drill 10 oil wells at a time. You start with one. But if you want to be in the business of trading nickel, dimes, and quarters for dollars, and if you want to have an unlimited marketing budget, then what you know is anything that is giving you a positive return you should want to be putting more money, the nickel, the dime, and the quarter for the dollar. But at some point, the budget that you have is a testing budget. And what you should be testing, and this is how you know, and I've said this many, many times on the road. Here's how I know when I'm talking to a great marketer. They don't show me 10 things. They show me one thing with 5 traffic sources. They say, here is my marketing process. Here's the top of my funnel. Here is my sales process. And here is the message and the value proposition, how we get the attention of the audience, how we convert that attention into traffic now we control. Here is the campaigns that we use. This is the mindset. The alternative is, okay, well, can I buy your zip code, or is that available, or can I get a little bit more? Can you turn up my lead generation? And at that point, when you're there, you take what you get. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you take what you get. It's not a very good feeling, but it does happen. It happens a lot of the times in our lives where we have no control. What we want to endorse is that that's not true, right? You have to assume you're wrong. That's not true. You have total control. You can produce leads right now in your business. You can probably produce them cheaper. If you don't know the conversion rate of the traffic coming to your landing page, if you don't know your dollar cost per lead, then you have no benchmark to try to beat. If you're not thinking that way, then you don't probably agree that it's not the best realtor that wins, it's the best marketer. Because if you agreed that, then you would realize that you're in one of the best businesses in the world. You have every home for sale as your inventory. You didn't buy it. Go open a car dealership and try to sell cars. You know what you got to do? You got to go buy inventory and put them on the lot. You got to buy brick and mortar. You have billions of dollars of inventory. All you have to do is you have to market and find people that are looking for that. And when you delegate that task, that is like giving your checkbook to somebody. And that's a lot of trust that you're transferring over, and a lot of control in your business. When the truth is you could probably acquire that skill or find somebody with that skill that can do it better, more efficient, and that's your job. Your job should be seeking the best to be the best, always on pursuit of finding a better way, and assuming that what you're currently wrong could be done better, because you want to optimize what you're currently doing before you try to engineer a new breakthrough.
100%, man. I think, first of all, I mean, you made a lot of really great points. I think that, one of the biggest frameworks for thinking through this stuff, and I think one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people face, and when I talk to agents, probably 9 times out of 10, they've never really done the math on any of the things that they're doing. They might have an idea of what their cost per lead is. They might have an idea of, it's always like, well, yeah, we're closing deals from this, but they usually haven't really sat down and just taken a few minutes to really drill down on the hardcore numbers. The one thing that I think we've been disciplined on and has helped us grow and scale businesses and be able to scale marketing processes, marketing campaigns, is getting to the customer acquisition cost. We don't care about the cost per lead. We care a little bit more about our cost per conversation, because that's a little more of a leading indicator to us actually getting to a closing, especially when we know how many conversations we need to have in order to set an appointment, how many appointments we need to have in order to get a closing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, all we want to know is, what does it cost us to acquire a customer? If I have 100% confidence that every time I spend $383 through this particular campaign, that I'm going to get a $9,000 commission check, how many times am I going to want to go spend that $383? Well, the answer is like as many times as possible, right? And a lot of times that really is the case. And so again, if you'll take the time, even just take the time to look, if you are doing some lead generation or you are doing some marketing and some advertising, take the time to sit down and at least just decode your last 12 months of transactions. Where did those come from? How much did you invest in terms of money or in terms of time in order to produce those transactions, and use that as a baseline. If you haven't invested in lead generation, you haven't done any really paid advertising or paid marketing, then just start off with, well, what would you be willing to pay as a referral fee? Would you be willing to pay 25% for a referral that came to you? Let's start there. How could we invest that 25% and be our own referral source and use that as your baseline? Then, like what Michael's saying, is how do you optimize? Now we're just trying to beat that number. Now we're trying to see, well, can we acquire customers for less than 25%? Could we let's say 25% is on average $2,500. Could we acquire a client for, $2,000? Could we acquire one for $1,500, for $1,000, for $500? And that's the game. The game is to continue to lower that customer acquisition cost and increase your budget so you get exponential growth in the business.
Yeah, and that's what we're here. I mean, listen, guys, paid traffic, there's a lot to understand, but here's the thing. When it works, it scales to other markets, right? So let's just say that you started in where my business started in the Colony. I moved to Frisco. What worked in the Colony worked in Frisco. What worked in Frisco worked in Little Elm. What worked in Little Elm worked in McKinney. So I can scale within my area. And these are places that, I can start small. I can play red light, green light. But here's how you know. If you've ever done something that doesn't work and you don't know why, then you're on somebody else's strategy. So, when you change your strategy, you change your result. And again, what we're talking about here is really the difference of, imagine going to the grocery store and let's say we're back in the, 1960s, right? And you live on this piece of land and you go to the grocery store and every time you go there, they don't have any of the food you want. At some point, you're going to continue to rely on the grocery store to provide you with the ability to eat. And you're going to sit back and say, well, I'm not eating. Or you're going to say, you know what? I got this huge field out here. It's something that I can plant. I can harvest. You have the capability of doing it. Maybe you're not doing it, but the truth is you have the capability. And that's the point that we're trying to make is you have the capability of taking over the most important thing in your business, which is lead generation. And the benefit of taking over lead generation is you learn. And guys, the people that have everything that you want learn something you haven't. And at some point you have to step into the game. So I'll give you an example. When we work with the partner, we could easily run the ads for them, but we don't. We log into their ad account. We build the campaigns with them in their ad account. We things that, that are going to probably take them 10, 15, 20 minutes to imprison in their mind and know forever. We lead them to learn. They don't go, people see agents that we work with go from 20 to 100 deals. They don't go from a 20 to 100 deals for no reason. They go from 20 to 100 deals because they got awareness. Like this podcast should give you awareness. And they received and took action on something that they learned. For you, in your real estate business, it's real simple. If you don't have enough appointments, then you're probably not having enough conversations. If you're not having enough conversations, then you probably aren't generating enough leads, or you don't have the right process for getting in contact with those leads, or the skills to communicate to those leads in order to articulate and demonstrate why they should create an appointment with you. If you're generating not enough leads, or you're not, if you are or you're not, you should know that, because you should have assumptions for your business. People tell me all the time, I'm going to sell 200 homes. Great. How many leads do you need to generate? What are the lead sources? Out of the 200 homes, how many are going to be past clients? How many are going to be expireds? How many are going to be FSBOs? How many are going to come from Facebook, Google? You want to set a plan for next year? You want to set up a plan for the end of this quarter? You want to set a plan for Q2, Q3? Then what type of assumptions do you have? Are you assuming that that somebody's just gonna randomly call you with a referral? You can't build a scalable business model on that. If you want scalability, if you want predictability, then you have to know, no different than in your vehicle. You can't imagine getting in a car with no gas gauge, and someone giving you a bag of money, but they didn't tell you how much money's in it, how much money's in the bag. They just gave you a bag, said there's some money in there. Here's a car, has no gas gauge. Drive from California to New York. If you don't get there, it's your own fault. You should have never gotten that vehicle knowing that you didn't have enough gas or enough financial resource to get to the goal that you were trying to get to. Now, if you get in the car and drive in circles and don't get there, that's your fault as well, right? If you don't do the work that you need, it's pretty simple, okay? There's your friends and family, and once they can only do so many of the transactions. You want to do 50, you want to do 100, then you have to be proactively communicating to those friends and family in a way that gets them to refer you over the other people that they could refer. And I promise they might know somebody, even another family member or a friend that they know better, they spend more time with, that they would be more likely to referral because maybe they've sold more houses, they've been in the business longer, they sold them their last house, they just went to a charity event over the past holiday with them, whatever it is, right? The problem is that just because someone's friends and family doesn't mean they're going to send you a deal. Now, they might send you a deal if you have the right marketing message in the marketplace and because you've been putting out testimonials and promoting those from your business page with paid traffic, where now in their mind, they're like, man, I see Mike is selling homes everywhere. It seems like he sells a home every other week. I can't see him. That's true. People think that way. I sent out an email for 4 years, stopped doing it for a year, and a guy tells me he reads it every month. I haven't sent it in a year. Same thing happens with Jay. Jay, business partner of mine, says, haven't had a billboard up in over a year. People say they see my billboards everywhere, right? You've owned their mind share, right? You've gained market share because of your ability to market. You can't see the message that somebody else is marketing. You can't tweak the message because usually we'll just take the big bad wolf, Zillow. They're retaining all of the authority. Zillow's the authority. They pick the premier agent. They're edifying you, not your client. Not your client saying that you just helped them buy a home, their dream home. Not the client edifying you. So whose brand is being built? With paid traffic, you build your brand. You have scalability. You have specific targeting. You have control. And most importantly, and I want you to, I don't care, listen, if you don't agree with this, don't subscribe to my channel. If you don't agree with this, don't listen to another episode. If you do not believe in becoming a student who is always learning, I can't help you. I can't, because my only competitive advantage is I outlearn my competition, and I don't even know what I'm going to need to learn in 2 years. You have to constantly be learning. And if you're avoiding learning this, it's like avoiding learning how to drive. Imagine if you didn't know how to drive your own car. Imagine you didn't know how to drive your own car, right? Think about the freedom that comes in your life when you can drive your own car and you have your own car versus, obviously we have Uber today, but it's still more expensive. It's the same metaphor. It's still more expensive. It's still less convenient. It's way less convenient to go to the grocery store with the guy in the Uber outside waiting on you with the clock running, or waiting 9 minutes for the next one to get here to find them that they canceled the fare. I've had that happen, right? Having control of the most important thing in your business, which is the fuel, which is lead generation, which should be paid traffic. Your goal should be to learn how to put $1 in your business and get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 out. This episode was only to hopefully challenge you to think a little bit different. Now, if you want to learn, if you'd like to learn exactly how to do that, then head on over to Listing Class. We've literally broke down the math on all the best paid advertising campaigns that we've done. You can go there and watch them. You can see the numbers from each and every funnel, the top of funnel conversion rate, the conversion on the landing page, the campaigns. Why did we put that video out? Because we believe that your goal should be to add as much value to the marketplace as you possibly can and learn how to do that to as many people as possible. And so what do? Is we put content out, just like you should put content out. Now, in truth, if you watch this video, then I now can, and you don't want to watch next week's video, because you watch this video, I can put that content in front of you. In fact, if you looked up Michael Reese on Google, I can put a video in front of you on YouTube. If you went to my Instagram or my business page or watched one of my stories, I can do that because of the power of paid traffic.